Greentree now has a new modern look and feel. We've done this to improve the software's usability and the navigation around the screens. The new forms appear more compact but contain the same fields and controls as the old forms. In addition to this, the fonts used on the forms are clearer and easier to read. Greentree now also has a new feature called Windows Designer. This enables you to make modifications to the Greentree forms. These modifications can include changing the text on field or button labels, moving fields, buttons and checkboxes around the form, hiding fields and buttons that users shouldn't have access to or aren't interested in seeing, adjusting the width of fields, formatting controls on a form to make them stand out, changing the order of tabs on a form, moving user-defined fields or UDFs to any location on any other tab in the form, and customizing the properties of a UDF, for example, to make them read-only or mandatory. So now let's take a look at the Windows Designer. Windows Designer is made up of two parts, the Windows Designer Administration form and the Editor palette. The Windows Designer Administration form is the main point of entry into Windows Designer. The main Forms tab contains information about the form you're customizing, for example, the name and a description of the customization, what appears on the form's title bar, who created the customization, and who it is assigned to. We can make the customized form available to companies, teams, and users. We create a customization by making a copy of a Greentree form and then modifying that copy. So to create a copy of the form, we go to the left pane and select the form that we want to customize from the list. We can also enter all or part of the name of the form that we want to customize in the form field to search for it. In the right-hand pane, we enter a descriptive name for the copy of the form in the customization name field. This identifies the customization within Greentree. It does not change the name that appears on the form's title bar. The author defaults to the name of the user, but we can change this by overtyping this field. You can also enter the name of the author in the form field to search for all of the forms that the person has customized. Optionally, we can enter the name of the company that the customization is associated with. We can again also enter the name of the company in the form field to search for all of the company's custom forms. And then here we can type in a description of our customization. Then we click the Save icon on the toolbar. So now that we have a copy of the form, we can go and edit it. So to edit our customization, we click the Designer button. This opens both a working copy of the form and the Editor palette. Now we click the area on the form that we wish to edit. We call these controls. The Editor palette displays the information that we can change. Depending on the control, you can change its size, its position on the form, the size and formatting of the fonts, and whether the control is visible to the user or is read-only. So let's start off by walking through a very simple example. We will start off by relabeling some forms, tabs, and fields. First, let's rename the customer maintenance form to read customer entry. So if we left-click in any area at the top of the form, you'll see that the Editor palette changes to focus on the area in which we are working. From here, we're able to highlight the text in the title field and overtype it with what we want it to read. Then let's come back to the main tab and change the suburb label to read city. You can see that we can also change the font size and make it bold, italic, or underlined. Lastly, let's change the credit tab to read credit control. At this point, we can save our form and test it out by clicking the View button. This opens up a working copy of the form that we can load data into and try out to make sure that all of our changes look acceptable. Now let's carry out a slightly more complex form design by moving a field to a different part of the screen, changing its background colour and making it mandatory for users to enter data into. Let's say that we want to move the web address field to the bottom of the screen. We just click on the field that we wish to move and drag it to a free area on the form. The label is linked to the field, so we are asked if we want to move the label as well, so we'll say yes to this. Once this is moved, we can go and change the background colour of the field so that it stands out to users. We can also tick the mandatory checkbox to make this a field that cannot be left blank. We could also change the width of the field here as well if we want to. Next, we are going to move a user-defined field from the Custom tab to another tab within the form. Let's say that we've created a custom field called Credit Insurance Limit, and rather than see this on the Custom tab, we would like it to appear within the Credit Control tab where it is more relevant. To do this, we simply click on our user-defined field and then drag it over to the top of the tab where we want it to appear. Then we can position it into any free area of the form. From here, we can now change the colour of the field, the appearance of the text, or make the field mandatory or read-only. The last change that we will make to the form will be to hide away fields and tabs that are not relevant or that we don't want to see. To hide a field within a form, we simply click on the field and then check the hidden checkbox. The field won't be deleted, so can be unhidden at any time, but it will not be visible to people accessing this form. The same applies to the tabs. If we click on the tab heading and then click on the hidden checkbox, we can hide complete tabs from within the form. So let's now save this design and look at the deployment options. We're taken back to the Windows Designer administration screen, and from here we can click on our new screen design and then choose which companies that this screen will be available in. If we choose the Available checkbox for our UK company, then we will need to go and assign the users or teams that will have access to this form. However, if we select the default checkbox, all users and teams that had access to the original form will automatically get access to the newly designed form. You can create multiple customizations of a form. You might, for example, want to create a customization that hides fields from certain users, while having another customization of the same form for teams that require those hidden fields. Finally, if we are designing our forms within a test environment, once we are happy with them, we can use the simple export and import facility to deploy our forms to the new environment. And that concludes our quick look at the new Windows Designer. For more information, please contact info@prerogative.co.uk.